Hello and good afternoon. I hope you're doing good. I am going to share with you some mindful things we're going to do today with just a little bit of movement, but it's more focused on mindful exercises to connect with your senses. So I'm about to sneeze. Nope. Okay, we're good. So with your senses, you've got smell, touch, taste, sound, sight. And that is our gateway to the present moment. So when we're using our senses, we are brought back into this space. We're not worried about something in the future. Excuse me. We're not, so whoops, that brought me back to the present moment. When we're using our senses, we're not worried about something that's going to happen, and we're not replaying things from our past. We use our senses to bring us back into what's happening right now. Because we can get stuck in kind of a feedback loop in our head, thinking about, what's this going to be like in the future, or I haven't got this figured out yet, or replaying old things in our mind that maybe we don't want to replay over and over again. Bringing yourself back to the present moment is the way to be mindful. And you might be like, well, how do I do that? Using your senses. Our senses perceive the information that's around us in our environment. So by using these exercises, you can bring yourself into that sensory awareness. It makes your brain really happy when you do that. And it's important to connect with our senses and to refrain from using things that might numb or dull our senses. So when we are under the influence, when we abuse drugs, we can really upset the connection between sensory input to our brain and being able to understand what's going on around us. And this is where people begin to make judgment decisions that maybe aren't the best. So it's important to treat your brain kindly and treat your sensory input kindly. And we're going to do that today by doing some mindful exercises. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to use our sense of hearing. I'm going to do a little exercise called sounds near, far, and within. This is a favorite at the clubhouse. They always request this one. So first thing I'm going to ask you to do is to put on your mindful body. In that case, you might be like, what does that mean? Well, sitting up nice and straight, strong back, but a soft front. If you're comfortable, I invite you to close your eyes. If that's not your favorite thing to do, that's okay. You can just gaze downwards towards the floor. So let's just go ahead and do that for a second, getting into our mindful position. Notice your breath right now. You don't have to change anything about it. And now I'm going to ask you to turn your attention to sounds that are happening right next to you in the same room that you're in. And take your attention and put it there, just noticing any sound that's happening right around you, near you, in the same room, in the vicinity, putting your focus there now. I now invite you to turn your attention to sounds that are happening a little bit further away. So in a different room, next door, outside, sounds that are not near you. I want you to take your attention and put it there. And now I want you to turn your attention to sounds happening inside your body. And you might say, Ellen, I don't understand what you mean. And that's okay. I want you just to notice the sensations that are happening inside your body. maybe imagining the sound of your heartbeat, or thinking about the sound of air as it comes in and out of your body. There's a lot of stuff going on inside our bodies right now. Just turn your attention towards what's happening inside and just imagine those sounds. If that still feels a little bit hard to get your head around, you can put your finger against your neck and find your pulse and think about the sound that way. It might be easier with a little bit of a tactile assistance. You don't have to do that, but let's turn our attention now towards the sounds that are within us. Awesome. I will invite you to bring your gaze back here, opening your eyes if you chose to close them. And we're going to go ahead and get into our movement portion. So kind of sensory because we're using our bodies and we're using our sense of touch, but also just kind of a break between sitting and doing something and then sitting and doing something else. Those are all good things, but we like to move. I like to move. So join me as we stand. And I want you to go ahead and get into your warrior pose. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna step one foot out in front. It's facing this way. I'm bent at the knee. And then this foot is out behind. I'm gonna tilt my screen so you can see me a little bit better. Here's my legs. The knee is bent, stacked on top of the ankle. This foot is pointed diagonally this way. This foot is pointed this way. Go ahead and sweep your hands on up and kind of sink into the pose, warrior one. Excellent, hold that for just a second. Sitting into the pose, nice and deep. Imagining lasers coming from your fingers. And easy peasy, you're gonna come from that pose, shift your feet. We're gonna do it the same thing other side. So you're gonna take this foot now, point it this direction, stack the knee over the ankle. This leg is extended back, this foot's pointed that way. So foot this way, sinking into the pose, sweeping the hands on up. Warrior one on the other side. And just hold that for a second. You can put your hands on your side if that feels better to you. Excellent, bring it on up. Go ahead and grab your seat again. That was the only standing one we're gonna do. I want you to, while you're seated in your seat, you're gonna have your feet flat on the floor. If you're sitting on the ground, that's fine. You can just be cross-legged. I want you to take one hand, put it on the opposite knee, and twist. Looking over that back shoulder. So I have my right hand on the outside of my left knee and looking over my left shoulder. Keep your chest lifted. Excellent, slowly unwind, same thing, other side. We always balance in yoga. So I'm gonna take my left hand and put it on the outside of my right knee and look behind my right shoulder. This is a spinal twist and it's really good for your back. Keeping your heart lifted. And slowly unwinding. Excellent. So that was it for our movement poses. Hopefully that gave you a little bit of a sensory wake up. What we're going to do now is I'm going to teach you a sensory grounding exercise. So those are some good ones. If you're getting a little bit tired of sitting at the desk, you can do a little twist. You can do a little stretch, you know, whatever is not going to get you in trouble if you're at school. But if you're in your own room, those are perfect things to do to kind of like bring your energy level back up. This next one is a 3-2-1 sensory grounding exercise. It's really great if you're feeling very overwhelmed, if you're feeling like you're kind of out of control or feeling very anxious. This is a great one, using your senses to bring you back into the present moment. So I'm going to give you some instructions. I just want you to follow along with what I'm telling you to do. So first thing you're going to do is you're going to find some sort of object or thing, and you're just going to look at it. I know that sounds weird. That's your only instruction. So find something near you and just notice it. That's going to be your object number one. Don't pick it up, just look at it. I want you to notice the color, the shape, the size, the distance from you to the object. I noticed a sound. And now bring your attention back to that object, noticing if there's any writing on it or any graphics, art. And now I'm going to have you pick a different object. So we're going to leave that object behind, find something else nearby, and just notice it. Notice its shape. Notice the colors. Notice if there's any writing on it. And now I want you to find your third object. Same thing, just find a different object, not one that you've used already, and just notice it. Consider its color, its shape, how far it is away from you, if there's any writing or art on it. Awesome. Changing gears, very similar to what we did already. I want you to pick any sound that you can hear right now and just notice it. Put your full attention on that sound. Now find a different sound and put your full attention on it. Noticing its volume, noticing anything you can about that specific sound. Last, I want you to find something nearby that you can touch. It can be your shirt sleeve. It can be a pencil. It can be your shoe. Doesn't matter. Find something nearby that you can touch. First, I want you just to notice the texture of the object, if it's rough or smooth. Notice now the temperature, warm or cool. If it's an object you can hold, what is the weight of it? Awesome. So that's that one. Great if you're feeling overwhelmed. 3 things you can see, 2 things you can hear, 1 thing you can touch. Now, last exercise, because we've missed a couple of senses, haven't we? We haven't done smell, we haven't done taste, and you're probably like, how are we going to do that if you're talking to me through a video? Don't you worry, we're going to use our imagination. So I'm going to invite you again, putting on your mindful body, to close your eyes if you're comfortable. If you'd rather keep them open, that's fine. Just cast your gaze downwards. And I'm going to guide you through a sensory experience. So go ahead and hold out your hand. Yes, hold out your hand. And imagine that in your hand, I have placed a wedge of lemon. First, we're going to look at the lemon. So I want you to look at your lemon and notice every bit of it. The color, the rind, the pulp, how big it is, the shape of it. Now I want you to feel the lemon. So it's in your hand. How heavy is your lemon wedge? What temperature is your lemon wedge? Perhaps does it feel a bit wet, like it was just freshly cut from a lemon? Feel the edge of the rind. Now take your lemon wedge and I want you to smell it. Smell is the closest sense tied to memory. What does lemon remind you of? And it's okay if it's not pleasant. Mindfulness is not about everything feeling good all the time. It's just about noticing. And now you knew it was coming. I want you to imagine you're taking a big bite of that lemon wedge. Savoring the sour taste inside your mouth. How many of you made a face when you put it in your mouth? It's not a real lemon. Nothing there. But it's amazing how much power our brains, our imaginations have over our senses as well. We have a huge, strong connection to our senses, which is why it can bring us into the present moment. And like I said, it doesn't have to be good. You can be standing in the rain and getting drenched. But if you use that moment as a mindful moment, it's going to bring you back into the now, so you don't ruminate on the things that are negative, that are not good for your brain. Yeah, you're going to get wet in the rain, but now you're living in the moment. And living in the moment is much better than dwelling in the past, or just trying to get to the weekend, or fearing the future and obsessing over it. We don't want that. That's what mindfulness is going to unlock, a much more enjoyable life, because you'll really savor your experiences. If you look at them mindfully, you'll really appreciate every bite of food that you take. You'll appreciate every conversation you have, because you'll be living in it. You'll be there fully engaged. Thank you for being mindful with me. I hope that this was informative and that you took something from it that you could use in your life. Be kind to your brain and have a good day.